Welcome to another episode of Alum series of Yodi Talks. Today we have with us Mr. Kaushik Dutta, who is a 2017 MBA graduate from SPJIMR, and he is currently working as a product manager at Amazon. Prior to this, he has also worked with PwC.
Hi, Kaushik. Thank you for being here with us and speaking to us. I'm pretty sure that by the end of this episode, whatever gyan you're going to give, everybody's going to really enjoy. So I think before we actually dive into the segments, I think one question is, how do you feel about being on such an informal podcast?
Yeah, hey Arnav, yeah, Alisha, thanks for inviting me in. I think personally this is a great opportunity, and I wish something like this existed when we were in college. Um, for all the amateur students who think that MBA is that too funny moment, there has to be a waking point, right? There has to be someone who guides and tells you, yes, what you're thinking is true, or some parts of it, नहीं, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता, दुनिया में ऐसे नहीं होती है. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, a great platform for alumni to connect with ongoing students and learnings come from both sides.
Right, thank you. So with respect to this episode, we've divided it into two segments. Okay, pehla wala is very simple. It's called SPJIMR Alumni, where we'll be focusing about your experiences at SP. And then we'll be transitioning to our second segment, which is Rosy Roti. So it's basically where we actually end up talking about your work experience and essentially life after SPJIMR. So I think without further ado, Arnav, can we start with the segments?
Yeah, so the first segment is SP Meri Jaan. And uske liye, jo first question is basically, which PGP 1 and 2 want to listen from an alum, right? So how were you as a student, right? So how did your focus orient towards, whether it was more towards studies, case com, or you were just chilling as an MBA student?
When I got into my first year, I remember seeing a meme where there were these different blocks of what you can do in life, and then you had to choose, right? And one of those options where you chose not to sleep. Well, I am the kind of person who never attended the first class through 2 years, right? So obviously I chose to sleep. And then along with sleep, the other things that I chose were chilling out with my friends and to a large extent study. I was not the studious kind who would know everything in and out, but I'm still a person who you come to if you want any random gap. My friends still do that, right? Because I keep browsing and I read random stuff. It's a trivia quiz in my room throughout. So I'm that kind of a guy. Case studies, none. I think I attempted one, and then all of our friends were like, "No, no, ye nahi ho payega. Let's do what we are good at." Right. So the rest of it, it's very active at college with everything else. Though.
Thank you for
awesome.
that.
Kind of an all-rounder type.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of ways to do that. Optimistically, you can call me an all-rounder. I take that.
Got it.
So Kaushik, I want to know ki MBA, of course, as you said, MBA is very hectic. It's very demanding as a course, right? But tabhi bhi thoda time, we kind of like nikal lete hum. So what did you used to do, like apart from your regular MBA stuff? Ki what were your favorite ways to chill? Ki chalo, wherever, what sports or what were your ways to chill?
I think the fondest memories I have at college are from two places. One is Shetty's, which is unfortunately not a place anymore. I'm a foodie, and I found out my friend circle who were foodies. So our favorite hangouts were discovering new places, going out for food. Um, I think almost twice or thrice a week. Now that I say it out loud, it makes me seem like a drunkard. But we used to visit RHB, Roadhouse Blues, very frequently. That was our go-to place. Smallest of the victories, and we used to be there. What else? Other than college, I think in the first week of my college, I purchased a speaker. घर पे room पे हमेशा full volume में गाना. So that was another thing. My roomie was a guitar player. I don't know if I can call myself even an amateur. मैं थोड़ा amateur से थोड़ा नीचे, right? So we used to chill out. काफी कुछ था करने को. Random movies, random discussions. So I'll come to that in a bit. I mean, there was a point when me and my friend were sitting in a room with AC at 16 degrees, looking outside the window and saying, "हमें देश के future." सारे लोग देख रहे हैं कि ये टॉप 10 कॉलेज से एमबीए कर लिया तो एकदम लाइफ सेट है, हम है वो फ्यूचर. So there were times like these. So everything, but nothing serious. So apart from classes, I think I was not serious about anything else.
So were these like random discussions organic in nature, or it was fueled by some assistance, if you know what I mean?
um, to be to not get into the depth, I think yeah, they were catalysts. I mean, you always
Got
need
it.
catalysts, but I think we did not need one. Sometimes we were so high on food. कि यार बहुत खा लिया आज, केप्सा राइस बहुत खा लिया. There are people from college who still look out for kepsa rice on Zomato. कि यार कहीं तो मिल जाए. Unfortunately, it's never available outside of Mumbai, but we still look out for that.
Thanks for that. And like we basically stalk all our guests right before shooting an episode with them. So we saw in your profile
Mhm.
that you were a part of the OJS core committee and you were also a Playcom member, right? So there's a doubt among many people like these committees, right? How do they help a person, whether in corporate, and how they make you develop as a person as a whole? So we like to shed light on that.
Okay, so to break the ice, I think it doesn't help at all.
Okay.
कुछ नहीं होता है. I mean, to me, as if I'm a hiring manager and someone tells me that I did this in college, I was a part of this committee, that committee, नहीं होता है, कुछ भी नहीं होता है. I mean, everybody thinks कि हाँ ठीक है, बात करने के लिए कुछ तो है, नहीं तो यार इंटरव्यू में क्या पूछेंगे, फ्रेशर है, इसने कुछ नहीं काम किया अभी तक, तो what will I ask? तो यही पूछ लेते हैं. ठीक है, it's a ice breaking moment where I get to know the person in more detail. That's it. I don't think that it's anything that you'll miss out on. But if I were to go back in time, I would do that again. I think the fondest memories that I have are from OJS. Yes, I mean the first, the second, the third, probably the fourth as well. Placement committee, यार वो तो FOMO है. I think every playcomer will tell you the same thing. It's pure FOMO और कुछ नहीं होता है. When you get into college and first year में दिख जाता है, there is this Illuminati type secret society, एकदम क्या कहते हैं उसको, with those capes and all, they're walking in the shadows. So everybody wants to be a part of placement committee, and I think that will continue to remain because सबको लगता है यार मेरी नौकरी नहीं लगी तो क्या करूँगा, लोन कैसे दूंगा, right? Other than that, I think all other committees are worth it. You get to you become friends with a lot more people. You know what is their story, what brings them to college. I think that's the best part of MBA.
Makes sense. And which vertical were you a part of in OJS?
Part of logistics. No, sorry, I was not a part of logistics for a change. I was a part of sponsorship team.
Oh, got it.
तो वो भी भेज दिया placement committee के interview में कि sorry, which one was first? Placement committee was second. So OJS का sponsorship भी भेज दिया, देखो मैंने ये भी किया.
बहुत सही, बहुत सही.
और क्या स्पॉन्सरशिप भी होता है, कंपनी को फोन करके कि यार आ जाओ, हमारे बच्चे बहुत अच्छे हैं, रिक्रूट करने.
हाँ.
Right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my next question is sort of an extension of, what you were just saying. कि placement committee, मतलब I agree whatever you said, but yeah, जो हम लोग हैं, we are not a part of placement committee, so we don't know what happens in the background. So specific to that role, मतलब was there something interesting? How did you like navigate throughout the year? Must have been like pretty stressful, but how did you go about it?
To be honest, it wasn't stressful at all. So okay, placement committee members, if you're hearing this, okay, please forget that I said anything related. So placement committee जैसा बाहर से लगता है ना, to insiders also it's the same thing. We have very little information about what's going to happen because it's a large team, 21 members, and then there are friends and friends and their close friends, tier 1 friends, tier 2 friends, tier 3 friends, tier 4 friends, and each of these friends will have their own circles. So it's a pretty secretive committee that way. Most of the information is between cocos and the faculty heads. We don't get a lot more information than anything that is publicly available, apart from the companies that we talk to. So one good thing was that at least you get to talk to these recruiting people right at the beginning, and some of us took that opportunity to build a good relationship with them, right? An informal kind of relationship, and then you can get advice that what do you look for when you hire someone. I think that's the most important help that I had during my tenure as a PECOM member. And of course, as I said, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, right? And these gyans used to spread across during our cat-listed sessions.
And on that, there is a perception, like sometimes there's a perception that there is an unfair advantage to PlayCom members when they're applying or when they're sitting for the companies. So is it so, or is it a level playing field even for the PlayCom members? What do you think about this, being a PlayCom yourself?
I think there is some advantage, right? But that advantage is only to the fact whether you want to create that advantage or not. The one that I said, right? When you speak to the recruiter, sometimes the recruiter will have good contacts inside, and I mean, obviously, they are the ones who are coordinating the entire placement process when they're on campus. So there will be times when the placement, when the recruiter or the HR head will know you personally, and when there are other hiring managers or the other panelists, when they see the recruiter talking to only one person, they will also develop that kind of a bias. That's the only thing I think is important. For that matter, it is not necessary that if it is my account, I manage the entire coordination process. There can be other people from the placement committee, and the same kind of had a lot more people from the college who were helping out with placements at that point of time. And if you see anybody talking to the panel members, I think they all have that kind of an advantage. And then coming to that point, I think that nobody has an advantage. It's everybody has an advantage, so basically nobody has an advantage. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. It's just that you build that good relationship, and then if the recruiter or the HR who's coming to hire has that stature within the company, then they can say कि अच्छा ठीक है इसको ले लो. I have discussed enough times on enough number of topics to know what he or she is. मुझे लगता नहीं वैसे बहुत लोग हैं who went into the same company or the same account that they were managing. I don't recall.
Got it, got it. Thanks for the answer and thanks being
But that's it.
candid about it.
But that's it. नहीं होता यार कुछ. I mean, I know a lot of people think so, but at least I made sure that my friends are aware. यार मैं तो तेरे से भी गया गुजरा. You at least got time to prepare. मुझे तो वो भी नहीं मिला.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Kaushik, for that answer. And that brings us to the end of this segment. And the next segment is mainly directed towards the right. So you have spent around 5 years, right, in Amazon. So just want to know about the career trajectory over there and how do you like the work in general over these 5 years?
Okay. So let me start by saying that सबको लगता है कि एमबीए कर लिया तो बस हो गया लाइफ में. इट्स लाइक दैट 10th, राइट? कि 10th अच्छे से कर लो, इसके बाद तो लाइफ सॉर्टेड है. देन 12th अच्छे से कर लो, इसके बाद लाइफ सॉर्टेड है. देन अच्छा कॉलेज क्रैक कर लो तो लाइफ सॉर्टेड है. देन अच्छा प्लेसमेंट निकालो तो लाइफ सॉर्टेड है. होता नहीं खत्म. उसके बाद लगता है कि चलो एमबीए कर लो तो एमबीए के बाद लाइफ सॉर्टेड. नाउ इफ यू नो देयर आर पीपल फ्रॉम माय बैच हु हैव गॉन फॉर अ सेकंड एमबीए इंटरनेशनली. तो उनको तो वो तो अलग स्ट्रेस में थे. 5 साल में तो सोच रहा हूँ, अरे यार ये सोच रहे थे 5 साल से कि इसके बाद भी कुछ करना है. मैंने तो हाथ जोड़ के गिव अप कर दिया कि नहीं हो पाएगा. सो एमबीए, आई थिंक फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस, राइट, one thing that can describe all of us who are MBA grads from SP, let's say, is that we are ambitious. So then our ambition doesn't stop. There will be points of realization which I'll talk about. But other than that, I think it's a never-ending journey, as people call it, a rat race. So if you are in the rat race, you're never satisfied. You're always looking for the next big thing. But that's it. Whenever someone talks to me कि यार मेरे को MBA करना है, आप बता दो आपने किया है, करना चाहिए कि नहीं चाहिए. So I recommend 2 things to everybody I talk to, right? And I think you guys have discussed this with me, so you know. First is कि MBA तो करना चाहिए, purely for the fun part of it, right? And the kind of friends you make. I don't think anybody in my top 10 friends, like the most common set of people I talk to on a daily basis or I spend time with on a daily basis in the last 5 years, apart from my wife, nobody else is outsiders. So that should speak volumes about it, right? So I vouch for an MBA purely from making friends perspective. And I was committed when I got into SP, तो मेरे को वो भी लोड नहीं था कि यार लड़की के पीछे टाइम डाल. Sorry, this applies equally to both the sexes. Uh, I think it is one of the key things, right? Then college में गए हो तो यार life partner is equally. I think life partner is more important than a job, right? So people who are single in college usually think that यार मेरा last मौका है, अच्छा किसी को देख लेते हैं. I frequency match तो हो ही जाएगा. Right? So that's one. Second recommendation that I give everybody is you should definitely experiment, and I'll be very blunt about it. सबको Amazon में काम करना चाहिए for whatever time period. सबको Amazon में काम करना चाहिए. It teaches you life skills, right? So these are the two things, and I think that answers both your questions in a way. Whether I think I liked my college and the work experience after it. It has been a journey, but if you have any questions, I can answer that.
Yeah, so very interesting thing which you mentioned in the latter part of the answer कि सबको Amazon में काम करना चाहिए, teaches you life skills. उसके बारे में कि what life skills in particular Amazon teaches you which other companies can't. So,
Right. So when I got in college, like everybody else, I think when you see a herd running, right? Herd mentality बोलते हैं ना. If you see a group of people running, I would usually be the first 3-4 people जो सामने घूमते भागते हैं ना. मुझे ये करना है, मुझे ये करना है. I am that kind of a guy. So then obviously that to answer your question, college में घुस के पहला दिन पे कहाँ placement लगवाना है? Consulting जाएंगे. Right, everybody, at least at my time, everybody will consulting जाएंगे. Consulting बहुत तूफानी होता है. क्या होता है? ये हमेशा सूट वूट पहन के कहाँ घूमते हैं? एयरपोर्ट में फोटो देते हैं, बस सैंडविच खा रहे हैं. मुझे भी करना है. So that was my journey, and then throughout I saw and heard कि FMCG is sorted, FMCG is chilled out. थोड़े problems होते हैं in terms of career growth etc. But FMCG otherwise it's probably the best place. SP is known as an FMCG campus. Obviously, I mean, देखो एक होता है कि हर्ट के साथ भागना है, दूसरा होता है कि हर्ट के साथ प्लेसमेंट होना है. So I got placed with the hurt, FMCG. Unfortunately, I think I loved my journey at GSK. Unfortunately, I had to quit. Bangalore आना था. My dad had passed away, so I had to spend time with my family. And then again, it was a no-brainer, right? As I said, friends are the most important thing. That was the key criteria मेरे दिमाग में कि अगर मैं जा रहा हूँ कहाँ पे तो कहाँ जा रहा हूँ. And I literally counted this guy, this girl, this guy, this girl. ये इतने लोग हैं बैंगलोर में, हाँ हो जाएगा मेरा weekend sorted. Right. So then I moved to Bangalore. I joined PwC. PwC was collateral damage, right? I spent very little time there, so I am not the best person to talk about it. But I think when I was choosing to move to Bangalore, I had a PwC offer. कि चलो ठीक है, इतना कंसल्टिंग करते थे, देख लेते क्या होता है. It was not my cup of tea. I am someone who craves for personal time, me time. अब वो me time नहीं मिलता है consulting में. Very difficult, right? So if you are an extrovert, you will just love it. But someone like me who's an ambivert who needs time to recharge, then I said कि नहीं हो पाएगा ये तो. Saturday Sunday काम नहीं कर सकते, those are sacrosanct days. So I got an offer from Amazon, and like, what timing? Amazon paid, your productivity just jumps up, right? Day one मेरे को एक चीज करने में the things that used to take me like 4 to 5 hours, now I can do it in 5 to 10 minutes because that insight, that capability. So I speak a lot in terms of Amazon leadership principles now. I write a lot कहते हैं इसको, that you over a period of time you build that intuition to know what is right. That Amazon is imbibed, and I think those leadership principles are amazing. I apply that in life. Amazon Pay, it says ki, you know, when you write, you have to be very crisp. You can't use indirect speech, etc. So even when I type a WhatsApp message these days, I actually edit. फिर मुझे लगता है कि यार Amazon प्रोडक्टिव बना रही है, अनप्रोडक्टिव बना रहा है, पता नहीं मेरे को. मेरा दोस्त तो वैसे भी समझ जाएगा मैं तो क्या बोल रहा हूँ. But yeah, so Amazon that way it elevates your skill set like no one else. I think everybody at the start of their career at least should work for Amazon. Whether you want to sustain this, it's a high pressure job, no doubt, right? And it's Amazon themselves say that we don't talk about work-life balance, we talk about work-life harmony, which means that if you sometimes love your work so much that you get lost in it, you don't feel bad that hey, I don't get time. There are days on which I'm swamped with work, there are days on which I get a lot of personal time, but I think overall the balance has just been great.
So I think continuing on what you just said, so what does your typical day like on a weekday or a weekend look like? So क्योंकि consulting का हमको पता है, it's pretty hectic, right? Like every day is work and it's super hectic. But for a prod man, Like, what does your day look like?
Okay, so to start off with, I did not join as a product manager at Amazon. I was a program manager, and I was a program manager in one of the best teams at Amazon. And I think I derive most of my learnings from there. Right, I was in the Amazon logistics division. पागल है लोग, एकदम पागल है. And I was managing third-party carriers. So one thing that I have inculcated over 2.5 years in my tenure there is geographical names. Sultan Batheri, ये क्या होता है? Then there are, I mean, those all weird names, right? I don't even recall some of those weird names that you used to hear as a child. All of those places are real, right? So all of those places are real, and a kind of Excel activity that you have to do कि कहाँ क्या package बचा है, then dealing with people, building those relationships where you can be strict with them, and at the same time you can go have a beer with them in the evening. And I mean, I was never prepared for this kind of a skill, but Amazon helped me build it. As a वहाँ पे काफी अलग होता था. So when I used to wake up, I did not know what's planned for the day. कब फटेगा क्या फटेगा नहीं पता है मुझे. I used to manage deliveries, right? सुबह उठा, पता चला कहीं पे कोचिन में, सर कोचिन में हब फट गया है, आपके 1000 पैकेजेस डिलीवर नहीं होंगे. अरे यार, फिर उसके बाद पता है कि कस्टमर कॉल करेगा, मेरा पैकेज क्यों नहीं आ रहा है. अब वो कस्टमर कॉल करेगा, सीएस वाले नोट लिखेंगे, फिर नोट लिख के मेरे को कॉल वापस आएगा. या तुम्हारा सीपीयू बढ़ गया है, सीपीयू इस कॉन्टैक्ट्स पर, राइट? तुम्हारा कॉन्टैक्ट्स बढ़ गया है, अब तुम्हारा एक पैकेज जिसका 25 रुपया लग रहा था, उसका 125 रुपया और ऐड कर दो कॉन्टैक्ट के लिए, ये कहाँ से आएगा? Anyway, so it was exciting, but it was, so some, there are people like me who want small successes, victories every day. Yeah, daily metrics mein na, this is one benefit. Yeah, you go to a place like this, or you go to sales, there are daily targets, and if you meet your daily target, you can sleep in peace. Okay, my day was worth it. So that was one life. And then as a product manager, everything is long term. When I came in, the first thing that I heard from my boss was, "तू भाग क्यों रहा है? चीता क्यों बन रहा है तू? रुक जा. Think about what you are responding." Right? This was the literal term. चीता क्यों बन रहा है तू? Because I was super fast. Again, the other leadership principle, bias for action. As a product manager, you take time. Most of my time goes in thinking. Man, as a product manager, if you ask me what does your day look like, I am sitting like this for at least 3 to 4 hours a day. This is what my day looks like. I'm thinking कि अच्छा ये करेंगे तो क्या होगा. It's like a game of chess. You make a move. What happens next? There will be a domino effect. Customers will respond some way to your to what you have done, and then there will be a domino effect कि customer के उस behavior के बाद कुछ और होगा. Right? How do you think about all the things that are going to happen because of one action that you did as a product manager? So I think at Amazon scale, it's fun. It builds your R right a lot muscle, and in general, I think that's very helpful. Plus, the exciting part about it is कि, what I look at Amazon, I look at fraud and abuse. So the skill that I have to build is how do I think about what will a bad actor do, what will an abuser do, how will he or she abuse my system, what are the vulnerabilities. So बहुत ही मजा आता है. मतलब I can't say enough about, like, what are the different ways in which people, or what are the different creative ways in which people try to make money out of Amazon. So it's real fun.
That really seems very interesting. And आपने जैसे mention किया कि thinking from the perspective of the person who's going to abuse, right, the system. So regarding
So you
that,
have to think about both.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned that leadership principles are the basis, right, on which Amazon runs. So first of all, I would just like to tell the audience that Kaushik took our interviews as well of mine and Alicia, and he's a super helpful senior in that regard of leadership principles and when you're preparing for Amazon. So that's a given. But other than that, आपसे बस ये पूछना था कि when you were preparing for finals, right? So there's Amazon, जिसके लिए leadership principles पढ़ने पड़ते हैं. Prodman का अलग preparation है, consulting का case prep है. So how did you manage your prep in that regard? कैसे आपने prep किया था, and how the friends, right, came into picture?
Let me break your myth a little bit there. I got a PPO. ठीक है. So I did not have to prepare technically. Autumns में क्या था कि मुझे पता नहीं कैसे क्या prepare करना है, तो मैंने नहीं किया. मैं तो प्लेसमेंट कमेटी, मुझे सब पता है, मैं कर लूंगा. एक दिन पहले पढ़ लेता था कंपनी के बारे में, कंपनी का क्वेश्चन, जीडी के बाद क्वेश्चन आंसर, डू यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस फॉर अस, तो मेरा हाथ सबसे पहले उठता था. आपकी कंपनी ने 10 साल पहले ये किया था, क्या सोचा था आपने? like a typical reporter, right? And I thought that will work. I don't know how stupid I sound even when I say it out loud, but somehow it clicked. Autumn's mein lag gaya, and then when I got that opportunity, I think I slogged very hard. So I got a PPO. I used to conduct GDs for my friends. कि हाँ हाँ तुम बोलो तुम बोलो तुम बोलो तुम बोलो. अरे आपने तो बोला नहीं अभी आप बोलो. तो मजा आता है. Interviews में I think the only thing that helps, in my opinion, is talking to seniors and figuring out how companies interview. उससे ऊपर मुझे लगता है कि it's like anyone's bet. Frankly, I think I prepared a lot more after finals. To give you a number, when I interviewed for PwC, when I was at GSK, I was preparing for PwC. I spent 1.5 to 2 months preparing case study, जो मैंने कॉलेज में नहीं किया था. After landing at PwC, मुझे टाइम ही नहीं मिलता था, but जो भी जितना टाइम मिलता था, I used to go out for a walk every day. So 1 hour I used to play out those questions in my mind on those 14 leadership principles कि मैं कौन सा आंसर देने वाला हूँ. I got a lot of time. Amazon ka hiring time is about 4 to 6 weeks. So I got that amount of time and prepared thoroughly. I'm that kind of a person. If I want something, then I'll prepare very, very, very well for it. Campus placement तो हो नहीं पाता है. That's a different story.
I think एक बहुत ही obvious question होता है when we are at this stage, like for me and Arnav, कि हमारे mind में होता है कि I want to get into this role or I want to get into this company. So there's always this dilemma about whether should I settle for a role that I don't want because the company is good, or maybe like the other way around. So what do you think? Like at this stage, what should we think about? Like getting a good role or a company or both, like, or how? I mean.
Honestly, I think you should experiment. You think that you know what you want in life. Or obviously you can be one of those persons who knows. I am at the other extreme. मुझे नहीं पता life में क्या कर, मुझे क्या चाहिए. So if you ask me today, do you have what you always wanted in life? I don't know. I think for me, unless I have covered everything, every job out there, I don't know what I like. I mean, यहाँ ठीक है ये पसंद है, but I don't know tomorrow whether I can get a job which I might like more. So you never know. I think at this stage and throughout your life, unless my wife is one of those other extremes who found a job and like मुझे तो यही करना था. I am sorted. मैं तो यहीं से retire करूँगा. But I love Amazon that way, and I think I can keep experimenting. Okay, if not this role, what next? But there are most other companies do not offer this kind of a flexibility. So then people have to jump across from one company to the other just to change the rules. I think it's absolutely okay. Don't listen to anybody who says that job hopping is not okay. Job ये मत करो, इतना जल्दी change मत करो. Campus placements are not the end of life. I think I gave this statistic to a lot of you during the mock interviews, but 60-70% of the people leave the first jobs in the first year itself. In 15 months, I was on my third job. तो मैं किसी के शादी में जाता था ना, मुझे अरे कौशिक आ गया देखो भाई तू Amazon कब छोड़ रहा है. That was the first question that people used to ask me. Thankfully, I haven't had to do that. But I think it's important both ways. You need to figure out a lot of things. Some things that give you happiness. If you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day, yeah, 8 to 10 नहीं होते हैं honestly, 10 to 11 hours a day at work. You need to love that company. You need to love your colleagues. You need to love what you're doing. And if you're spending that much time, obviously, then there is no scope of moonlight. So then you also have to get paid enough to make sure that you can live your lifestyle. फिर थोड़ा FOMO भी आता है. You'll have your big friend circle, and then you will know all the CTCs. फिर तुम्हें लगेगा कि यार ये कैसे मेरे से ज्यादा कैसे मिल रहा है इसको, मतलब मुझमें तो कोई कमी नहीं है, चलो मैं कोशिश कर लेता हूँ, right? So there are times when you will try doing things that you don't like because FOMO. मतलब बहुत बहुत जगह होता है. I mean, I can take n number of personal examples that I have done just because of FOMO. But at the end, I think you have to decide whether it gives you happiness or not. So I feel it's absolutely necessary to experiment and not think this is right or that is right.
That's a very important
Thank you.
point of
And
experiment.
on a lighter note, I think in every relationship, like there are these two kind of people. So one who's extremely laid back and the other is like, who knows, focused. I think that's like every relationship ever.
My wife would disagree with you. She would say that, if you're calling me laid back in terms of work, she'll say कि यार इसके दिमाग में हमेशा क्वेश्चन घूमता है कि इसको आगे क्या करना है लाइफ में.
Laid back in the sense कि
I
चलो
mean,
देख
again,
लेंगे, whatever happens.
हाँ करेक्ट सो आई एम नेवर सेटिस्फाइड कि हाँ यही है, हाँ ठीक है चल रहा है लाइफ चलने दो, राइट, व्हाट इज द पॉइंट। तो अगर लाइफ में ऐसा पता होता है कि अच्छा मेरा अगला कंपनी पीएनजी होने वाला है, कोलकाल होने वाला है, दो कंपनी से चलो कॉइन टॉस कर लेते हैं, देन हेड्स आया तो कोलकाल, हाँ ठीक है डिसाइडेड है मैं तो यहीं जाने वाला हूँ। ऐसा नहीं होता लाइफ में, बहुत बहुत स्ट्रगल्स नाउ, आई मीन कंसिडरिंग layoffs and all etc, you never know, right? And every time there is a cycle. हमारे टाइम पे टेक का बूम था, नाउ आई थिंक दैट टेक का बूम हैज कम डाउन, एफएमसीजी विल गो बैक अगेन, इट्स अ साइक्लिकल सेक्टर, सो you will hear ज्ञान from all seniors at all places, but I think you should experiment.
और आप बोल रहे थे ना कि पता होता हमें कि कौन सी कंपनी में जा रहे थे, एक्साइटमेंट भी नहीं रहती कि क्या रोल करने वाले हैं,
Exactly,
कहाँ जाने वाले हैं। वो एक्साइटमेंट भी ड्राइव्स यू।
exactly.
सो आपके
Yeah.
जैसे एक्सपीरियंस में, सो वी आर कंपनी इन लाइक 4 to 5 months नाउ, तो क्या एक चीज है, व्हाट डू यू थिंक कि will drive us into the new job and is the biggest learning if you have to summarize all your experiences and give one advice to the new joinees who are going to join after 5 months, what would it be?
I think there is only one suggestion that makes sense, right? Ask questions.
Okay.
I someone told me, so there are two things that I've heard that keep me going in that direction. See, one is if you don't know something, some people guess, some people are scared कि यार ये तो बड़ा आदमी, इसको मैं कैसे पूछ लूं? If you don't ask, the answer is always no. Trust me, this works. There will be instances in your life where you will think यार ये तो मैं कर ही नहीं सकता, मैं ये सवाल पूछ ही नहीं सकता या पूछ ही नहीं सकती, I look so stupid, and then you do that and you like अच्छा ऐसा भी होता है, ऐसे सवाल का भी जवाब देते लोग. So I at Amazon internally finding a job is very easy, right? Most people look at job finder. There's an internal portal जहाँ पे job देख के लोग फिर hiring manager को message करते हैं. Someone told me कि यार तू क्यों डर रहा है, डायरेक्टर को पिंग कर, right? So when I was looking to move out internally from my last role, I started reaching out to directors directly. यार डर क्या लग रहा है, मतलब worst case scenario क्या होगा, रिप्लाई नहीं करेंगे कि टाइम नहीं है, या तो रिप्लाई करके बोलेंगे कि नहीं है जॉब. I don't know if you will believe this. Of all the people I reached out to, only the directors responded, each of them, and they pointed me to someone in their team who was hiring. डायरेक्ट हायरिंग मैनेजर को मैसेज करो, वो तो बिजी है बेचारा, उसकी तो लाइफ में लगी हुई है, उसको बिजनेस में संभालना है, उसको किसी को हायर भी करना है, उसको डायरेक्टर भाई साहब को जवाब भी देना है. But all the directors respond. So I think that's the most important thing. If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. If you want better pay, ask for it. If you want more opportunities, ask for it. If you are not satisfied, please go ahead and tell. Don't keep things bottled up. And the second is, yeah, so at my internship at GSK, you know what I did? My job was to find out a variety of barley which increases the yield of Horlicks.
Okay.
My end outcome was a PPO convert because I bought 10 kgs of barley of different varieties. ऐसे थैले में. I went to this institute called IIWBR, Indian Institute of Wheat and Barley Research, found out a scientist's name via some paper, reached out to him in Karnal, and got 10 kgs of barley and gave it to my manager. ये लो, आप देख लो, इनमें से कुछ भी आप उठा लो, आपके करंट वैरायटी से तो ज्यादा मिलेगा, right? And it was pure biotech. Thankfully, my wife helped me, and there was another friend of mine who was in the biotech field. So they took my classes every day evening. 8 to 10 was my class time. कि एक घंटा ये लेगी, एक घंटा ये लेगी, दो मेरे को समझाते थे.
Thank you, Kaushik, for that. So I think coming to like the end of this episode, if you were given a chance to hypothetically, let's say, go through the placement process again, so what would you choose? Like, what would an ideal job scenario look for you? Like, एक है कि hectic work है, but lots of money, crazy money. And then second is थोड़ा सा chill work life है, but sufficient money, थोड़ा सा कम पैसा. So I think what will it look like now for you?
Have people told you that having both of them is also possible?
Okay, no.
Right, so I think it's I would go for both. यार compromise क्यों करना है, MBA तो इसीलिए किया है, right? You wouldn't want to settle for a low paying job and you wouldn't want to give it all. देखो एक जगह है जहाँ पे I think I moved out of that role. It was not for me. I don't want to give out my weekends, at least not 52 of them. दो दे दो, 10% दे दो, चलो 5 दे दो चलेगा, but not all of them. there are jobs out there where you can choose the best of both worlds. But if you ask me what you should do, I think the first 5 years of life you should forget about work-life balance. Give it your all. अब ये बहुत controversial statement है, मुझे पता है. Mr. देशपांडे इसके लिए already थप्पड़ खा चुके हैं. But I stand by it. The amount of effort that I've given in the first 5 years of my life, I won't be able to do it anymore. सबकी family life होती है. You start spending more time with your family. Where your parents will age, right? And then you have to spend time with your parents. You will have kids at some point in time. Your responsibilities only increase. But you cannot go ahead and you cannot cross 35 without having those life skills. तो यार एक ही तरीका है कि whenever you graduate from then until 30, 32, give it your all. सब कुछ सीख लो ताकि बाद में, हाँ मुझे तो पता ही है क्या तुम मुझे बोल रहे हो कि 5 घंटा लगा के डीप डाइव करके इसका आंसर देने का, मैं अभी देता हूँ, तुम जाओ ये सही कर लो, right? So you want to be in that phase. So I think regardless of money, getting into a hectic job in the first part of your career is very important. Choose well, it should add value.
पूरा एक यूटोपियन सिनेरियो है हमारे लिए भी अभी ये, लेकिन probably like 2 to 3 line after trying many things, as you said, experimenting is very important, right? So probably we'll be able to find the right match for us. So that
and I
brings us,
think whatever you do, you will have to get those skills and then use those skills to you create a life path कि अच्छा चलो यहाँ पे देखो पैसा भी ज्यादा है, यहाँ पे काम भी ठीक.
so thank you so much, Kaushik. That brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for taking your time on a Sunday afternoon and giving so much time to us and asking and answering the questions in such a candid way possible. So thank you so much.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you,
I
Kaushik.
hope this gives students some bit of stress relief, if I have to word it right.